Welcome, I'm Dante St. James, and we're going to be talking today about when to start paying for ads. It's a bit of a philosophical question because it's one of those like, how long is a piece of string things? It's going to be a little bit different for everybody who might be using Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the ad platforms, Google, and it's going to be a different answer for every single person. But I think we're going to come up with some basic kind of some outcomes that could be really good for everybody to implement, but some ideas that get you at least thinking in the right direction so you can know where to start beginning to think about whether you should be concentrating on just I've lost the word now, but it's just your organic social media, your organic SEO kind of work, search engine optimization, whether you should be making the jump over to start advertising. So this is a little bit of not so much a formula, but I might even, if you're keen, get you on live on the call to sort of talk to it as well. My name is Dante St. James, as I said. Let's share that screen and get underway and learn a bit more about what it takes to get to the point of being ready to start advertising. What we're going to look at today is all the organic stuff that we're doing, all the social media, all the blog writing, all that sort of stuff we're doing to set ourselves up so we don't have to pay. Because let's face it, we've all been taught, don't pay unless you absolutely have to. We're going to look at an honest assessment of how you're doing. Now, we're not going to go and be looking at anyone's particular social media efforts and go, yes, you're failing, you need to start advertising. I'm not going to do that. But if you would like to participate live with that and sort of explain through what you've been doing, we can do sort of a bit of a one-on-one in this call as well. So just let me know in the chat if you'd like to participate in that a little bit later. We're going to look at when to start paying and kind of not messing that up, not going in with the wrong attitudes to when you start paying. So this is not going to be a particularly long webinar. I think that some of these things are going to be quite common sense to you, but there might be a few ideas in here which you might go, actually, I didn't think of it that way. This is an interesting way of thinking about it. This is brought to you by Business Station and the Digital Solutions Program. It's part of the Australian government initiative called the Australian Small Business Advisory Services. Great program that allows you to learn some really good stuff that's going to help you with your business without having to shell out the world. And we know if you've got to save all that money you can for these ads you're supposedly going to running. Well, I'm Dante St. James. As I said, I work Meta as a certified lead trainer with Business Station as a digital solutions advisor and as an entrepreneurship facilitator in the Northern Territory with the Workforce Australia Self-Employment Services, basically helping people to start their new businesses. I also help out with the Be Connected program, helping older Australians into the digital economy and Google's own digital springboard program as well. Programs, bloody programs everywhere, aren't there? Let's continue. I want to start first of all by making an understanding that you kind of know what this idea of organic social media and organic work that you're doing is based on and where it might hit its limits. So let's take a look at what some of those platforms can be. Now, when it comes to Facebook and Instagram, I think most of us have come to the conclusion, great place to connect with family and friends, great place to connect with others who are interested in the things you do. I don't know where I'd be without the Kath and Kim Appreciation Society. It's definitely one of the most entertaining groups I'm in. Groups are fantastic. But all of us who've got business pages have kind of noticed over the last 5 years that no one's really seeing what we're posting. We could have 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 people following us, and barely anyone seems to see what we're doing. Barely anyone seems to notice that we've posted anything. And that's a little sad because some of us have been putting in a lot of work over a lot of years to make this happen. What we can assume is that Facebook and Instagram, Meta, has become what we call a pay-to-play environment. If you really want to cut through, you almost have to just go with the attitude you have to pay. I'm not talking about boosted posts here. Boosted posts generally work better if they've already got some organic success. So people have already seen it, reacted with it. It's got what we call social proof. That's the kind of thing you need to sort of have before you boost. Otherwise, Facebook doesn't know who to boost it to, unless you tell them, boost it to my followers, and it will go to your followers. So now, and the reason for this mainly is there are so many businesses, so many posts, so many people, so many organizations, so many groups that are all posting to this feed on Facebook, filling it up with all this stuff. And it's got to work out what people want the most. And let's be honest, there's not a lot of posts that come from businesses that are all that great. We're not the best at posting. We're not the most engaging posters. We're not the people who create the best content on Facebook and Instagram, are we? If we're really honest with it, what we're mostly trying to do is write something up that helps people, convince people to buy our stuff. That's not what people are on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook is to connect with family and friends and be part of fun groups where you can discuss interesting things that you laugh and cry and hurl at. Instagram is all about the pretty. It's the most beautiful, the most entertaining, the most engaging stuff there is. And I know most of our business posts, yeah, even mine, not that great, really. They're not things that like you want to shout it from the rooftops because you saw this post from your local pharmacy and you went, oh my goodness, my local pharmacy is amazing. I want to share it with all my friends. It's just not like that, is it? Facebook and Instagram recognize that. The people who are on these platforms recognize that. Otherwise, if they didn't, your stuff would be getting through to everybody. But Facebook and Instagram, being such busy feeds, have to prioritize certain things going through to people. And the stuff that's going to be prioritized is the stuff that people like the most, not because they've just selected and liked it once upon a time 2 years ago on your page and said, yeah, I'll like and follow that, but what they like right now, the things that they've drawn patterns from that they like in the moment. This is why reels are so important on both Instagram and Facebook, because people really enjoy entertaining, engaging video content. We might say, oh, but I like to see updates from my great uncle Charlie and what he's been doing and all his photos he's posting about when he was at the war. And you go, well, yeah, I'm not seeing it though. That's because you're not showing any interest really. You're not looking for it. You're not engaging with it. You're saying you are. It's like people who like Triple J. Have you ever noticed that? There's people who like Triple J. They'll tell you how much they like Triple J, but they haven't listened to Triple J since they were a teenager, but they've got this idea in their head. It's very cool to be seen to like Triple J. Likewise, we have a whole set of subjects and a whole set of things that we know it's cool to say that we enjoy and that we like and we'd like to see more of. But the reality is when we're shown more of that stuff, we engage less with the platform. We like it less. We don't follow it less. We get bored of it very quickly. And we start looking for things that are distracting us away from the things we say we like. That's how algorithms work. They see through what we say and what we do factor. So what we say we like and what we have indicated by clicking on a like button on a page 2 years ago that we like, our behavior is telling the platform that we don't actually like that. So we go, okay, well, that makes sense why I'm not seeing great Uncle Charlie's stuff from the war anymore, because to be honest, yeah, I'm supposed to like it, but I don't really. I'm bored by it. I'd rather watch cats falling off skateboards on videos. It's much more entertaining and so cute. And that's what we tend to do. We tell the algorithm what to give us, and it's not to give us more posts from businesses who are advertising their wares and telling us what their specials are this week. Yet that's what we produce as businesses, more of that business content. We're more educational advice that nobody asked for, more expertise that nobody's looking for, more of my products that nobody asked to see, and we're assuming that somehow that the algorithm hates us because we're not getting seen. It's not that at all. It's just that people aren't as interested in those things as we are interested in those things. So Facebook and Instagram are terrible for organic reach for businesses. You probably already worked that out, I'm sure of it. Really only things from groups that are highly engaged. I don't see everything from every group I'm part of. I see, maybe 2 groups a day because I interact with those 2 groups every day. So I keep seeing their material coming through. Instagram then is much the same thing. We've gone, okay, I've followed all these people. Why aren't I seeing them? It's like, well, when was the last time you actually engaged with anything or actually watched what they did? Or for about 15 days in a row, you skipped over the posts that they had and didn't really even stop because you're so bored of seeing the same photos from them over and over again. That's why you're not seeing them anymore. So you can see how it's really hard for businesses to cut through, because what people are trying to consume on these platforms isn't what we're producing as businesses. So the answer then is maybe, well, then ads are the way past that. We'll look at that very shortly. Next cab off the rank is Twitter. If any of you are on Twitter or been using Twitter or trying to get through on Twitter, you would now know that pretty much no one's going to see your stuff unless you buy Twitter. You pay for Twitter. $13 a month Australian to get a blue check mark will guarantee that more people will see your stuff. I've taken the challenge on. I bought Twitter Blue, and $13 a month. I've paid for it for 2 months so far to see what happens. I've gone from having about 3 people a day seeing my posts to about 30 people a day seeing my posts. It's not exactly earth shattering, but I don't have a big following either. So I go, well, it's 10 times the result. So if I had 3,000 people following me, I actually may have a heck of a lot more people seeing my stuff. Maybe it seems worthwhile. That's not buying ads. What it is doing is prioritizing my content over people who don't have the blue check marks content. I'm buying reach, essentially boosting a post, but I boost it by paying a certain amount every month. I can then further boost each post on Twitter to go to even further people beyond who follow me. But at the moment, I'm happy with that 30 simply because Twitter is an experiment for me. I'm not particularly active on there. I haven't been building an audience on there at all until now. And so now that's an area that I'm investing in this year because it's so much attention on Twitter right now with Elon Musk and all his shenanigans that they're kind of mad not to. But I will get to the point where I go, really? Is this worth it? Is posting all this stuff and wasting all this time, is it a waste of time? Or is it something where I'm actually making an investment in the future? Only time will tell with that. At the moment, 30 people a day seeing my stuff and absolutely nobody except this one person who I did a conference with, 12 years ago who likes everything I do. That's the only people who are seeing my stuff. Is it worth my while investing in this and paying $13 a month for it? Well, for now, yes, because it's an experiment. I'm trying to build an audience gradually on there. Should I start paying for ads? Well, we'll take a look at that later on too. Next one is Pinterest. Now, this is a funny creature because what we've heard recently from a lot of people is that they've suddenly gone from having thousands of views of their posts to having about 30. And a lady the other day was just saying this to me. She said she doesn't know quite what's going wrong. Pinterest was always the place where she could guarantee she'd get lots of clicks through to her website. And Pinterest kind of had this reputation as being, if you want to get traffic to your website, post stuff on Pinterest. It drives lots of traffic. And then all of a sudden we got to late last year and it's like the rug's being pulled out. And suddenly that's not happening anymore. People who are literally getting 2,000 to 2,500 views of their pins are now getting between 30 and 40 views of their pins. They haven't changed what they've posted. Nothing they've done has changed, but something inside Pinterest's algorithm has. This coincides at the same time when Pinterest's ads platform is being increased and taken up another notch. Pinterest has tons of different kinds of posts you can do or pins, and also has tons of different options with its ads platform. So we're seeing a theme here. Facebook and Instagram, not much reach for businesses. Twitter, not much reach for anybody unless you're willing to pay for it. Pinterest, not really much reach for businesses unless maybe you're willing to pay for it as well. Where you were getting thousands, now you're getting a couple of dozen at most. It's not really paying off as a vibrant community to work on. From Pinterest, we move into LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one of the, it's one that bucks the trend. And the reason why is because LinkedIn has a very high proportion of people who are on the platform, but don't post on the platform. You think about it. You've got a boss who's not the very nicest boss in the world. You won't dare to go to your LinkedIn profile and post about business and work and all that because you're scared of your boss. And there's a lot of people scared of their bosses. You might work for government where you have protocols in place where you are not allowed to speak about anything you do professionally. Everything you say must be through the filter of you being a government employee. So by all means, have a profile, but don't say anything. Okay? So you've got a whole bunch of people who are not allowed to say things on LinkedIn, but they're still consuming content. There's still an incredible ability to be able to get people to see your stuff. I get well over 1,000, 1,200, 2,000, 2,500 people a day viewing my content on there. That's just one post. If I then look at the last week's worth of posts, which are still rotating around people's feeds and they're still seeing them, what I'm finding is I'm getting 14, 15, 22, 38,000 views on my posts every single week. And I'm going, why isn't this happening on a bigger network like Facebook? Why aren't more people seeing it on Facebook? Well, because LinkedIn is a business professional network. So business content naturally is more applicable to it. But yet, you're not going to get anywhere by just going, here, do my course, here, do my stuff, here, book me for this, here, buy my thing. It's the same principles apply. if people aren't interested in what you're posting, they're going to ignore it. And you're not going to show up in their feed. And all your posts are going to come through and not going to work very well. The other thing is too with LinkedIn is that it works much the same as Facebook in terms of profiles have far greater reach and impact than what company pages do. So you think about your business page and your profile on Facebook. You'll post to your profile to your 500 people who follow you. You'll get, a whole bunch of people commenting and liking and interacting with you because they know you, they like you, you're entertaining to whatever the reason. Get over to LinkedIn. It's the same. People only really seem to reply to you as a person, not you as a business. The difference is that you're kind of expected on your personal profile on LinkedIn to act as a business. Where on Facebook, it's kind of the big no-no. Don't open a profile and just talk about your essential oils all the time. You're going to get someone slapping in your face over that and telling you, hey, this is not a place to be selling. Stop trying to sell me your stuff. You just become a big, and they'll start calling you names, on Facebook is like, right? So in LinkedIn, we've got this situation where you are getting the reach. You're getting far greater reach than you are in just about any other platform, except for this guy, TikTok. The trouble with TikTok is, though, not everyone's ready to take that dive into producing high impact, short form, highly entertaining, very engaging video. Or they may not even know where to start. They want to do it, don't know where to start. TikTok does get incredible reach. I have posted some things that haven't exactly set the world on fire, but I'll post one video on TikTok, the same video on Instagram Reels, the same video on Facebook. On Facebook, even on my profile, I get maybe a couple of hundred people see it. I go over to Instagram Reels, I get maybe 300-400 people see it. That's cool, love that. Go to YouTube Shorts, which is like the TikTok of YouTube. And I posted over there and I get, 600 or 700 people like, oh, that's cool. They saw it. That's good to know. Get on the TikTok and then it's, 12,000 people have seen it. Crazy. Now, views aren't always views when it comes to these platforms. Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, and LinkedIn regard a video view as 3 seconds or more. If it's less than 3 seconds, it wasn't viewed. They don't count it. That's not an impression. TikTok, on the other hand, counts everything from as soon as it starts. So it can be half a second is regarded as a view. Now, you and I both know that you can't tell what's going on within half a second in a video before someone flips past it. TikTok doesn't care. They're going to count that as a view anyway. Because why? Because it looks good. It looks good for them. So if you've got 300 views on Instagram Reels, then you get to TikTok and you got 900 views and you go, oh, TikTok's way better. I'm going to invest in TikTok. The difference is that you had to watch it for at least 3 seconds on Instagram Reels to get it to register that something was viewed. TikTok, you may not have even seen it. It was just part of the feed. It started briefly for 0.001 of a second and it was gone, but that is still a view. And they might come back again later and you do the same thing. You flip straight past it. That's a view, whether you saw it or not. So that's where numbers aren't always numbers. Sometimes numbers are very, very different. Now, how does this relate to when you need to start doing ads? Well, that's as we're working through all these. I'll do one more, Mastodon. There's a lot of talk about Mastodon at the moment as being like the new Twitter, the new social network. Things are gentler. People are nicer. You can find a community of people who have common thoughts and ideals to your own, which is great. There's only about 2.5 million people on it in the world. Compare that to 3 billion on Facebook, 1 billion on TikTok. So you're really looking at a massive difference in terms of the kind of sheer number of people that are on there. No one is selling anything on Mastodon right now. And if you get on there and start acting like you do on Facebook and Instagram, trying to sell stuff, people will report you, people will ban you, the people on the server will go, this is not what Mastodon's for. It's not for selling, it's for conversations. And you'll end up making some enemies. You don't want to do that. So Mastodon, I don't even consider as a business related or business applicable social network. It's too complicated to get onto it. And it's also a little bit too, you're not going to reach everyone. You can only reach people who are on the same server as you. And there's a couple of thousand servers. So you've got massive challenges with Mastodon that go beyond the challenges you've already got with social media. Next is the other organic, which is search engine optimization. So you might be looking at Google and going, I want to get high up in the rankings of Google. I want to be able to, make my difference, make it easy for people to find me. I want to be found. That's great. When people are looking for what you do, yes, you do want to be found. Problem number one is, so do the 50 other businesses in your local area who do the same thing. Or so do, if you're looking at, beyond just a local result and you're looking at a national result, maybe there's about 2,500 businesses who do what you do across Australia. They're all competing for places on that Google feed as well. If you're going global, well, gosh, then you're up against millions who may do what you do. You might be the only person who does Pilates instruction in your local area. But once you go out to your whole city, your whole state, your whole nation, your whole world, then it's a very different game to play. You are not going to get found for your suburban Pilates studio, for people who are searching for Pilates information from Cleveland, Ohio, for instance. They're going to get a lot closer to the results that suit them. So what if you're selling Pilates gear, Pilates supplies, the lifestyle around Pilates? You want to be able to be found all around the world so they can go to your Shopify store and get your great gear, right? Well, so are probably about 20,000 other online stores doing exactly the same thing. So you find the organically being found on Google is very, very hard. The easiest way you'll have to be found on Google is through being a local business in a local area that serves local people. That's the easiest way to be found on Google, because it comes up in the map up the top of the Google results, because they're the variations of the results of the businesses that someone's looking for that are in their local area. So that's good. So if you're in, let's just say Logan City in Queensland, and people in Logan City are looking for what you do, they are likely to find you because you may be the only Pilates instructional studio in Logan. So therefore you come up, or you may be only one of 3. So you come up on that first page, regardless of how optimized you are to appear on the normal search results of Google. But the minute you start stretching out of Logan into Brisbane, and then to the Gold Coast, and then to Ipswich, and then to the Sunshine Coast, and then to the Scenic Rim areas, then it's a whole different deal. You just start slipping down and down and down and down and down to the point where nobody is finding you outside your local area of, say, let's just say Browns Plains and Logan in Queensland. The same thing works for WA. If you're in Midland, you're not going to get found by people who are in Wanneroo. If you're in Joondalup, you're not going to get found by people who are in Fremantle. It doesn't work that way unless you're the one person in the whole of Perth who does that thing you do, and people know to look for that thing you do. The other area you might have some kind of hope in Google search results in SEO is where you have a unique name of your business and your product, and people know to search directly for that name. You're not a plumber who people are just putting in, find me a plumber, and then you're up against the 22,000 other plumbers in Perth. What instead you are doing, you're looking for Mika Plumbing Services, and we know that's Mika Plumbing Services. We go MEEKA. Mika. I know the name of that brand. I'm looking for them now. I just made up that brand, by the way. Don't go to Google search for that. That's not a real brand. As where people really know who you are. They know your brand. You know where McDonald's is. You're not looking for local fast food burger restaurants. You're looking for McDonald's. You're not looking for fried chicken restaurants in the Swan Valley. You're looking for KFC. You know exactly who you're looking for. So how do you get those kind of names? That's then another process, which is called brand awareness. And brand awareness, you might think, is like, oh, I just post all over Facebook. People will see my stuff and start to share it, and it'll be very popular. In some cases, yes, that is absolutely true. You can become a citywide famous burger place just by people, discovering you, posting photos of you. But at some point, someone had to make people aware that that new burger joint existed before they became a star on social media. And it's usually they did ads, they put flyers and letterboxes, they put a big sign out the front, they did a promotion on day one to say on our opening day, everyone gets a free burger. That's generally that brand awareness happens as some sort of offline or real world activity that then gets people in to take the photos of the burgers, to take the Instagram stories, to take the TikToks of the burgers being cooked and all that before it becomes a bit of an online star. There's a process that happens with all that. So what if you've not done all that stuff? You've opened your store, you've opened your business, and you're not really getting the results you want because, whilst it would be nice to have some local customers, you work from home. You don't want people knocking at your front door saying, hey, I want to buy your products and services. You want people to contact you online. So what you need is people to be able to find what you for what you do on Google. And unfortunately, you're up against a lot of competition for people who do what you do. If you're a consultant, let's just say a color consultant, that's actually a thing. I actually saw one recently. That's why I'm wearing the colors of shirts I'm wearing now, in purples and pinks and navy blues, because I saw a color consultant, but I didn't know to go and look for a color consultant. All I knew is I need these colors, but I didn't know color consultants existed until I was referred it. And then I went and looked for not a color consultant, but I went and looked for the person who was a color consultant that I was referred to, which means that all the work that every other color consultant may have done to make themselves known out there in the world completely just bypassed me, except for this one person who happened to know a color consultant who they referred it to me. I said to them in a conversation at a networking meeting that I was like, I feel sloppy. I feel like my colors are all wrong. I feel like every time I step out the house, I'm sloppy. And they said, what you need to do is see someone who knows this stuff. See a color consultant, and I'll be able to tell you what your colors are. And sure enough, they had a color consultant in mind. They pointed me to them. I never looked for a color consultant. I looked for Kelly. Kelly's my color consultant. And I was able to find her. And bang, done. I now know what I'm buying every day. I know what my clothes are. I don't have to think about what clothes I'm buying, because all I need to think about is it purple, is it pink, or is it navy blue? And I'm done. So that's the result of organic marketing around brand awareness. I'm now aware of the brand of this person called Kelly who does color consulting. But none of that came through Facebook. None of that came through posting on Instagram or posting educational posts on LinkedIn or doing search engine optimization for her website. In fact, she doesn't even own a website. She doesn't even have a Facebook page. Kelly is just someone who just works through word of mouth alone, and she's brilliant. That's awesome. But the problem is, though, how does that help you? What do you do? Like, you're going, well, I've been posting all this stuff and I'm getting nowhere. How do I know if it's time for me to start buying ads? I'm not like Kelly. I have made a lot of effort in this sort of thing. She's great. She's been doing this for 20 years. She's got a whole lot of momentum. I only started this 2 years ago, and all I'm doing is posting rubbish all over Facebook and not going anywhere. Or I'm having these amazing conversations with people, but no one wants to pay for what I do. You go, well, let's have a really honest assessment of how you're doing. And when you do that, you've got to really look at what it is you've been focusing on. Now, just about every coach out there who's doing social media coaching and digital marketing coaching and all that are all about, you've got to look at the likes. You've got to get more likes. You've got to get more people commenting, more engagement. You've got to get yourself in front of more people. And you go, like, ask all your customers for reviews and all these sort of things. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. But likes don't pay my bills. Comments don't pay for my coffee. Shares don't pay my rent. Views are certainly not paying my power bill. And reviews, whilst they might be nice and lets people know that I'm not a complete and utter rat bag, they are not really paying for my car loan. What I need is more customers, more new customers. I need more retention of customers that I've got to spend more money with me. And I really need profit, because that's essentially what's paying for all this stuff, right? You paid all the expenses, and now I need to pay myself. To do that, I need profit. I need money on top of all of that. Likes, comments, shares, views, and reviews aren't going to provide that for me. I've got to say, well, that's against everything I've ever learned about social media. Everything I learned about social media is to do it for the likes, do it for the comments and the engagement, do it, for the views and the reviews, so that people will see that and they'll say, oh, he's got something really special going on. I need to follow him. Look at all these likes. Look at all these followers. The amount of followers, there's just no link or correlation between the amount of followers you have and the amount of money you make. There are influencers out there who have 15.8 million followers on them, and they live in a standard 3-bedroom townhouse in the suburbs of Melbourne, the western suburbs of Melbourne. He's the second most followed person in Australia on social media. 15.8 million people follow him on TikTok, and he is not rich. He's not making tons of money. He hasn't found too many ways of monetizing what he does. He doesn't have an apparel range. He doesn't have people asking him to coach them and all sorts of things. He's just making enough from TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, who are paying him for his content when it reaches a certain level of engagement. For every million views, he gets something like $200. So every single post he's doing every day is getting about 1.2, sometimes up to 48 million views on it on TikTok. Then that's how he makes his money. But it's not making him rich. It's paying his way. It's supporting his family, but it's not making him rich. It's not making him a great big business owner. So you think about that 15.8 million followers that he's got engaging with him every day compared to your 200 followers that you've got who never engage with you. You look at that and go, if even him with all that activity going on there is not making money, what hope have I got? Yeah, wow, that's a really sobering thought. Now, the difference is there's different economies of scale. He's not selling anything. He's just an influencer who's just going, look at my baby, how cute they are. Look at my wife, who's absolutely gorgeous. Look at my my trip to New York when I got invited to go there by Meta. He's very, very humble. He's got really average clothes. Half the time, I think he dresses from Kmart. You know, he's not flashy. Because he's, you know, obviously trying to save up as much money as he can to live for the future based on a time when no one's going to be interested in anything he has to post anymore. So what does this all mean for you? How do you get in a place where you get those new customers, you retain the customers you've got, you're making the profit, and that's the measurement that you build your business around, not likes, comments, shares, views, and reviews. None of that is business building. That is all, they're just tools. Likes are just like, yeah, you're lucky to get some likes. I posted nothing yesterday on social media. I usually post every day, 7 days a week. I posted nothing yesterday, and I might not even post anything today. I'm not really in the mood to post anything today. I've got a big schedule of things I'm going to post, but I'm not going to miss out on my sales pipeline because my public speaking business has a set of ads that run on Google that deliver me new clients. I've got the digital solutions program that introduces me to people and delivers new clients. I've got 4 years backlogged of presentations and webinars that are on YouTube. Now I may get 27 views on one of those YouTube posts, but 2 of the views of that 27 were from America and have now hired me to do their brand strategy with them. American businesses saw me on YouTube to do brand strategy. So that shows you that 15.8 million followers, delivering a little bit here and there, a couple of $100 maybe, right? A day. In one day on one video that I posted 2 years ago, mind you, I got $1,700 worth of new work out of it. That's the social media lie, is that just when you get lots of followers, you're suddenly going to become somehow rich and successful. And that's not the way it works. Everything works these days in terms of a thing called a sales funnel, because organic stuff takes time. It takes so much time for you to write blogs to get noticed by Google, to write social media posts to finally get picked up by one person who amplifies your reach to a whole lot of other people. It takes time. For your TikToks, you know, my friend Stanley Henry over in New Zealand is a TikTok agency, and it took him a year of posting up to 10 times a day on TikTok to finally get to the point where they got 250,000 followers. That's not even a significant following on TikTok. Remember, old mate in Melbourne's got 15.8 million. So he's got 250,000. Now, that's not to be sneezed at. That's a great effort. Certainly more than I've got, way more. Like I don't even think I'm in 3 figures yet. So it's a very big kind of set of circumstances, but it will take time. I didn't become, 5,200 followers on LinkedIn without having done a year's worth of work and build up and planning and experiment and strategy. Organic reach takes time, and it may not even work. There's no guarantee it's going to work. SEO work when you do it. I did a whole lot of work for a line marking company on the Gold Coast last year. In month 1, I did all this work and said, okay, let's give it 3 months and see what happens. 3 months passed, nothing happened. I said, okay, let's do some more work. And we went, okay, more work's happened. what's happened is it worked. Is it actually making a difference? And 6 months, it hadn't really moved the needle. 9 months, finally it did. But by then I'd said, mate, I don't want to take any more of your money because it doesn't seem to be working. And I don't really want to charge you for something that's not working. And so I walked away. And then at month 9, now he's like showing up in searches all around Australia for places that he wanted to get into, but had no idea how to. And we managed to get him there, but it took 9 months for Google to finally catch up with that and start ranking him for those things. Everything takes time, whether it's SEO, takes time for Google to be able to assess whether what you're providing is quality content for what people are actually looking for. But they won't know that until people search for it, find you in the lower sections of that search result and go, yeah, that's exactly who I'm looking for, a line marking person in Blacktown, New South Wales. On Facebook, it takes time. The people who got started 15 years ago were the ones who seem to be the most successful now because it took them a while. They may have had a viral success that took them into the stratosphere, and that was enough to sustain them for the next 15 years of popularity. TikTok, you're not going to hit a hit straight away. There's very few stories of someone who posted something for the first time and it just became viral. Not everybody is going to create that viral hit. And let's face it, we are businesses. We're not that interesting. We're interesting to us. I'm not going to say that we're not interesting. We're interesting to us. We are vitally interested in our businesses, but nobody else really is. They're just interested in what they can get. They're just interested in what their outcome is, getting their problems solved, tickling that itch to buy something. Email marketing, again, is one of those things that takes some time. It's taken me 34 weeks of constantly posting these big emails out and building up to a list now that's 10,500 people. I started with 150 people at this time last year. In fact, it was February last year, 150 people on my list that I collected from my email. It's now 10,500, but it took me 34 weeks to build that. So that was enough time for me to get some idea of what people liked, promote it out on places like LinkedIn and Facebook, buy some ads on Facebook to get people to subscribe to my newsletter by promising them what they could get from it. And that's what's grown it all. LinkedIn, again, took me all last year to basically build up to the point of really concentrating on LinkedIn to build a good following. Instagram, it may take you a lifetime. It's almost impossible now to build a great following quickly. You can't do it within a couple of weeks. It doesn't work like that anymore. I'm building a following for a particular kind of men who I am attempting to sell a particular product to in the future. Now, I've got that following up from 0, which was about September last year. I started this. It's now got about, 3,169 followers, I think, when I looked at it this morning. So once it gets to about 5,000, it reaches a certain point where I can then start to go, okay, now I'm going to gently start introducing my product range to these people in the context of the posts that I'm already providing. But I'm not turning it into a bait and switch. It's just like you're in there. And now one of my things, I'm going to casually start slipping in some product placement to it. But again, that's taken me since September to build up just over 3,000 people. Like, it's not like this thing happened like bang, it just happened straight away. Pinterest is the same thing. Networking events. How many networking events have you been to? How many clients have you walked away with? Networking is a process of getting to know the people within the networking community who then know other people. When they know other people, then they can recommend you. But how do you then measure how that person found out about you without asking them? So again, these things all take time. What is the cure? What is the way around this that's going to make life a little bit easier for us to be able to tell when we need to start buying ads? Well, ads accelerate things. Ads take that long time of preparation, that long time of sowing seed, and it turns around and then goes, I'm going to give you the result now. I'm going to give it to you in a week. Now, it's not going to be an overwhelming thing of 1 million customers coming to buy all your stuff that quickly. It'll be a dribble, and then it'll get a bit more regular. And then it will be a pipeline, a constant sort of flow of people coming through. Like I said, my YouTube work, I put a lot of work in the last 4 years. I got 200 and something videos in my YouTube channel. It's taken me until about November last year to get my first client from YouTube. I've now had about 15 since then. So it's become a pipeline, but it took me 4 years of work of putting videos on YouTube, videos like this very webinar, which will become one of my YouTube videos, for someone to say, I resonate with what he's saying. I resonate with the way he presents. And whilst they're not Australian, which would be nice to be able to serve Australian small businesses, they're American small businesses. Hey, I'm not going to complain. I like American dollars too. I like money. So it's taken time to build that. Ads take that time down to a much smaller amount of time, but it's going to cost you, and it's not going to be cheap. The problem with ads these days is we've been trained up in a world where we could get lots of leads through our business for $10 by boosting a post on Facebook. Those days are well behind us now. The idea that you can put $10 on a Facebook post and people will come streaming through to your business. In fact, I don't know if it ever actually really existed those days. I think we got this idea that that's what's happening because we boosted a post and 3,000 people saw it, and 200 people liked it, and 23 people commented on it. And we went, oh, it's working. Look at that. That's awesome. That's fantastic. And then we go to our till at the end of the day at our business and go, well, it's not really turning into dollars, is it? Likes, comments, shares, engagements, reviews, none of that pays the bills. It's foot traffic in your shop. It's email inquiries in your mailbox. It's people calling you. It's people paying their invoices to you. That is the outcome you want. So to get past all that and all that likes and shares and comments and all that, we essentially have found that social media and the online economy is now a pay-for-play place. You can work on personal brand like I have, and it's taken me years and years and years to build that. And I would say, do that as well. Do all that as well. But in order, if you have some goals where you may have an arrangement with your partner who says, look, I'm going to support you this year for 6 months. But if it's not working in 6 months' time, then you have to go back and get a job. And you're like, okay, I've got 6 months to make this work. What you need to do is have a strategy to move forward with ads. So we look at, okay, when do we start advertising? When is the moment where we go, I've got to bite the bullet and I've got to start paying for ads? So let's look at all the different ways you can do ads. So if we've been using search engine optimization, writing blogs, doing copywriting around our website, and we've been trying to get people to notice us in Google search results, and we've been doing that for 6 months and nobody's finding it, that's because SEO takes time, and it's a very specific skill, and you really got to know what you're doing. Because if you just go in there just like, I'm going to write blogs about what I do, that's not necessarily how people are searching for what they want to have answered. Google is quite often just a question and answer thing. I ask it a question, it gives me an answer. That answer either comes from your website or someone else's, and then I may or may not even go to that website. But if I get the answer on Google, I can see it in the preview there, and it gives me a link to your website and I click on it, then maybe, just maybe, I might go, yes, I want to buy something from this person. I want to take part in their services. Most of the time, though, SEO is just going to be you writing tons and tons of blogs. In my case, I've got 2 blogs that have done, well, one that's gone kind of viral and gives me about 2,000 visits to my website every single week. There's a very specific article about a very specific way of trying to get people to advertise to certain groups of people on Facebook. The information is kind of outdated now, and I'm still getting 2,000 visits to my website every week. Even though I've said it's kind of outdated and may not work anymore due to algorithmic changes. The other one is another one where it's I'm talking about how to reach a certain group of people online in general, and it did very well. It might deliver about 200 different visits to my website every week. That's great for a digital marketing agency website. That's phenomenal to get that much traffic. But are any of those people clicking on my services? Are any of those people making any sort of inquiries to me about building their website or managing their social media or teaching them how to build their personal brands and their business brands? No, of course they're not. Because the majority of them are from the United States. And even though it works for me over on YouTube, these people are looking for a quick answer from a website to provide an answer to a problem they have. And if they do find that and they go, no, it's too hard, they move off, they're not going to go looking around my site for other things, because that's not why they arrived in my site in the first place. So the way around not really finding your customers through search engine optimization and writing blogs and website content is you have to pay for Google ads. And they're not cheap. So I'm paying for Google ads at the moment for my public speaking training business in Darwin. I've set it a budget of about $150 a month, which is not much. And based it upon that people will pay about $1 to $2, depending on the demand at the time, for clicking on my ad. So I'll pay $1 per person who clicks on my ad. So I've allowed myself at $150 a month, about $5 a day. So I've gone, okay, $5 a day gives me about 5 clicks on there. So far this month, out of my budget of $150, it's spent $35. And that was from sort of middle of December, and we're coming towards, we're past the middle of January now. It's cost $35. It couldn't even spend that much, because what I was asking for is for people who are looking deliberately for the thing that I do. Now, has that ad campaign been successful? Well, I only started the business in mid-December. I got my website on there on about December 27, I think it was. I got a website going, but advertising it going through to a landing page before that, now through to this. Barely just started this business. 4 people who clicked on that ad out of that $35 have now converted to become $600 clients. So am I regretting paying $35 for some ads? Well, definitely not. Now, very different for me. I'm working in a service area, which is saying, yes, I want to be able to provide this service to people with a very clear outcome of what they're going. Let's say you're trying to sell an item. You're trying to sell products, and you've got your Shopify website. That sort of search is not going to work for you. What I'm doing is a keyword search for people who are looking for a public speaking coach, or Toastmasters, or rostrum clubs who may want to learn how to do public speaking. It's fantastic. There's a few people who wanted to do that in the new year rush, when people said, oh, the skill I want to learn this year is public speaking. So I took advantage of that. Now, for you selling your product, it may not be seasonal. It may not be affected by those bursts of activities that people get. So you may be stuck with going, okay, I need to advertise my product through the shopping, Google Shopping. Still, you're going to get in front of so many more people who are looking for the red shoes that you're selling on Google search through your ads than what you ever will by posting it on Instagram or Facebook, because there are 15,000 other advertisers who are trying to sell their red shoes without paying for anything on their posts on Facebook and Instagram as well. And they got more followers than you, they got more audience than you. And it just makes you feel depressed when you think, oh my goodness, how can I ever compete? Well, you can't really. You can only pay to compete. We move over to Facebook, and it's very much the same thing. If you find that you're posting over and over again, you've been doing this for months and months and months, and nobody's seeing your stuff, but you got a few people who are family and friends say, oh, I saw your stuff on Facebook the other day. It looks so good. But you know that you only got 3 views of that particular post and nobody's buying a thing. It's time to start buying ads. You need to bite the bullet and start buying ads. You're not boosting it. Buy an ad campaign. Now, how much is it going to cost you? Again, how long's a piece of string? Who are the people that you're selling to? Are they locals? Well, if they're locals and you're within a group of no more than around about 50 to 100,000 people in an area, then maybe $150 a month might be enough to be able to put your products and services forward on Facebook and Instagram. The reality is it's probably going to be more like $300 a month. And if you're in Brisbane or Perth, where you've got a much bigger population, you want to reach the whole of Brisbane and Perth, it's going to be $500 plus a month. It's not going to be cheap to be able to do this effectively. What it does, it builds a pipeline. Now, it won't work straight away either. It's not going to immediately bring in people to you. I was very lucky. I found a niche. I lucked out. I found a niche that nobody else was serving, and immediately knew that there was some search traffic for it, not a lot, but some. And then I got in and got those sales. But you've got an established business that you need to be able to get some more help with. So if you found that everything you're posting on Facebook and Instagram is just not leading to anything at all, you're participating in groups, but nobody really seems to be that interested in what you're doing, the only way to get in front of people is to do targeted advertising through the Meta Business Suite or the Meta Ads Manager. It's the only way you're going to be able to reach people. Start small, build up. Dip your toe in the water, $5 a day. That's $150 a month, $10 a day, $300 a month, roughly. It's going to be great for around about like a population area, a geographical area of about 100,000 people. That's most of those. Think about places the size of Toowoomba, which is quite a bit bigger than that, Townsville, Cairns, Rockhampton, Darwin, Mandurah, to lesser degree, places like Bunbury, Busselton, Albany, and Esperance, like larger regional centres that might be able to handle that sort of thing. If you're in a smaller centre, if you're saying like somewhere like Emerald in Queensland, Charleville, in Gladstone, somewhere like that, well, then you might be able to get away with at least $5 a day, and you should be able to get in front of a lot of people, but you will get in front of them often. The smaller the market, the smaller the needs you are to, the smaller the need is for you to reach lots of people. It's going to cost you a lot less, and the returns can be quite much greater. The bigger the area you need to cover, the more global you want to go, the more it's going to cost you, because you need to get in front of a lot more people. And getting in front of more people costs more money, obviously. TikTok is the one place where at the moment, I don't think advertising is necessary if you've got a product which you can produce a video about in a really fun way. The trouble with TikTok is that you can't just produce one video and just go, there you go, buy my stuff. You're going to have to produce a video every single day. And in Stan's case, to build up to 250,000 followers and to actually draw it as a great showcase of the kind of work that his agency does, 10 a day, 10 posts a day. My friend Yasir Khan, who's a public speaking coach in Canada, the same thing, 10 TikTok videos a day to build up his, he's never advertised. He's never had to have ads. 10 a day. It's a big commitment to make. The other option is you can advertise on TikTok. TikTok has a funny metric with their advertising where they say they will reject your ad if it's too boring. Ever heard of that? Your ad's too boring, so we can't show it. My God, how would regional television go with that rule? It's too boring to air on TV, so we won't air it. They'd have nothing on air. So it'd be like TikTok starts, get this, at $3,000 a month. That's the very lowest amount you can pay for advertising on TikTok. So I'm going to assume that's out of our budget. We'll move on. Email marketing is another thing where I got lucky. I got so lucky. I got lucky because one particular group of people picked up my email and said, oh my God, this guy, you need to get on his email. And immediately I grew by about 5,000 extra people on my mail list. Once I got them, it just exploded out to 10,500. I got lucky. I get tons of my new business and inquiries through my email that goes out every Saturday morning. It's fantastic. I love that. But to be honest, that's not how most people go. Most of you are going to have an email that you're going to have about 32 people on, and they're going to be the same people, and only about 3 of them ever open it. Your email has to not be sales oriented, but it has an option for sales at the end. I've got a whole other webinar about the email, which we'll hopefully do. I reckon we might do that in late February and have a look at how you can sort of build an email that people actually want to share with other people. LinkedIn, again, is more about your personal brand. You do not have to advertise on LinkedIn just yet. It's the one place where you could get really good coverage for people getting to know who you are and what you do in the context of you being a business owner without having to pay for stuff. So LinkedIn, still go organic there for now. One day the rug will be pulled, but it's very much you don't have to pay to play over there. Instagram, same as Facebook, same exact problem as Facebook, same network, same place to advertise. So no difference there. Pinterest, well, since we've found that Pinterest has now pulled out a lot of people's organic reach, now it's become just like Facebook, a pay to play environment, which again means you have to start considering ads. Pinterest ads do cost more than Facebook. So your $5 a day is going to be more likely to be almost a $20 a day with Pinterest. That said, they do tend to get a lot more targeted to interests that Facebook are not allowed to target. Facebook are treated by governments very differently than what other groups are. Pinterest doesn't have anywhere near the rules and regulations, and TikTok as well, that Facebook and Instagram seem to have on them. There's a lot of rules that are specifically made up that Facebook has to follow that TikTok and Pinterest don't. So in Pinterest's case, again, you might be worth doing that whole thing. Or what I'd look at is go and see how your best performing pins are going and pin them again. Do another repeat of that one, because there was something about that that reached people. Hopefully, there might be enough interest in that again to be able to pin it again. Don't be scared to recycle content and repost content that's the same with slightly different captions, slightly different visuals on it to Pinterest to get renewed interest in something you've already talked about. On networking, well, networking is one of those ones where you've got to go in with the right attitude. And I would say there's two kinds of networking. There's the free networking events, often like LinkedIn local events, Chamber of Commerce event, well, they're not always free, but events which are more open to a lot more people. And then there's closed networking like BNI or BX networking, those kind of things. And there's all lots of variations of them, all much the same kind of thing, just with slightly different approaches to each other. You get what you pay for in networking. Free networking usually is places where a whole bunch of people go and they just catch up with the people who they know, and they stand in the corner and drink beer and eat free food and just talk to each other and not really interested in meeting you. Business networking chapters like BNI and BX, all those, performance oriented. They're closed. You're the only person who does what you do in your particular network. No others are allowed in your network that do what you do. So what you've got to do is make an effort and make it worth your while for what you've had to pay to get into that network. Because if you paid a lot to get in that network, you would need to get a lot out of that network. Think about it not as that these people are going to buy from your network. They're not. They're there to introduce you to the people they know. And that's how you grow your network. So when do you start paying for ads? Essentially, when you find that nothing's working and it hasn't worked for a long time. On Facebook, it will be because you've been posting for years and nothing's ever happened. On TikTok, we just don't because you can't afford it. On LinkedIn, you go, well, I'm going to pay for ads because I want to reach particular kinds of people who have a particular kind of job, and I want to get my message in front of the CEOs of these 5 companies. And you will actually be able to get a message into the inboxes of those 5 CEOs. That's the kind of advertising that happens over there. So I hope you got a bit of an idea then of what that is. If you haven't participated in the digital solutions program as a client of the 3 one-hour coaching sessions before, $44 is how you do it. $44, you get 3 one-hour coaching sessions with people like me, and 4+ hours of workshops and webinars. Essentially, it's unlimited access to our webinars. You just find out all that information at digitalsolutions.businessstation.com.au, screenshot that, or just look for Business Station. You'll find us. We're not that hard to find, and you'll see the register button or the digital solutions button, and you'll be able to go through and book it all from there. In the meantime, though, if you've got questions about when to start advertising, or you just want a second pair of eyes, offer a 15-minute free consultation to anyone who wants it, you can book it through my website, dantestjames.com. I haven't got it written up there. It's my name, dantestjames.com, dantestjames.com, or just search me, Dante St. James on Google. You'll find me, or hit me up on LinkedIn. Have a chat with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, any of those places where you can find me. Please hit me up and say, hey, I was in your when to start advertising webinar, and I'd like to know a little bit more about when you think I should start advertising. Can you take a look at my profile? Hey, I'll give you 15 minutes. We'll have a look and see if we can get a quick win in there to at least get you on the right track. If not, I might be able to point you to some resources that could help you out with that. I'd like to thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. It's a Friday. Everyone's tired and wants to get on with the weekend. Have a fantastic weekend. And I hope that you've learned something today that'll help you to move past that hesitancy to advertise and to perhaps just at least consider it. Consider that it might be time to start advertising. And that's just not that bad a thing. Thank you and have a fantastic weekend.